Hello there. It gives me a lot of pleasure that I can tell you today I want you to watch the movies because I'm not talking about novels. I'm actually talking about a play. And the first one I would like to recommend to you is the Browning version, which was written by Terence Rattigan. I've never heard of this play, never heard of Terence Rattigan. To see this name come up on my university reading list was a shock because I may not have read all of the books, but probably I've heard of them. And so to see something that was so unusual, especially that it was written at a time that I'm really fond of. The Browning version is about, well, an old schoolmaster who seems a bit, well, what's the word, jaded, resentful. He's one of those old school teachers who seems to have petrified. He's become unemotional. The students are afraid of him because he's so strict. Even in his own home personal life, he is that way. Like he doesn't expose himself. But because of I think he had a heart attack and he has a heart condition, he's had to give up his job. He and his wife are being, well, forced to leave the school where they have been working, I think, for 18 years. Shall I tell you a little bit more? Well, this one-act play, it's very short, is happening on the last day of classes that Andrew Crocker Harris, he's finishing up his duties as a teacher. His wife they're saying farewell to the academic life at the school. His wife, Millie, is having an affair with one of the other younger teachers, Frank Hunter. I hope I've painted a nice picture of that because it is, and play is excellent, even though it's only one act. When I saw that it was a one-act play, I didn't really expect much from it. How much can you do in one act? But a lot. Quite a lot, and it doesn't need to be any longer. Probably for the Hollywood film, they flesh it out a little bit more.
Too rarely.
Well, Laura.
Andrew, you were late for Taplow.
I have apologized.
I do hope you're going to be joining us at the concert tomorrow evening.
Oh, yes, I'm looking forward to it.
Taplow, why don't you go and get the lemonade? You know where everything is.
Have you been?
Frank, would you like to see the timetable for next term?
Yes, I'd like that very much, Andrew. I don't know what we're going to do without you.
You'll find somebody else, I expect, or perhaps they'll buy a computer.
Say, what exactly is this new job of yours, Andrew?
Teaching English to foreigners. Andrew's doctor believes it'll be less of a strain than the lower fifth.
I'm really sorry, Andrew.
Well, there's nothing to be sorry about. I'm looking forward to the change.
And finally, the last book on the course is actually one of my favorite films of all time. Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead. I mean, even this wonderful picture of Tom Stoppard, look at that. The old days, huh? And this, too. If you're of the younger generation, this is what library books used to look like. They had this, and you would pull it out, and you would put your name on it, and they would write the return date. So why do I love Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead? The reason I was so happy to see it on one of my university courses this semester is because Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead was on my university syllabus the first time I went to university in 1993. What was the name of the English class? It was a 20th century modern literature. Film is one of my favorite films, and I realized while I was thinking about making this video that I have forgiven Gary Oldman and Tim Roth quite a lot because of this film. When I think of Gary Oldman's career, it's always Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead. But he's made a lot of really rubbish films. Like, for some reason, people in Hungary are really fascinated by The Fifth Element. Like, you will meet a Hungarian and they would tell you that their favorite film was The Fifth Element. And I'd always think, God, did you only have the one videotape in your village? I mean, it's not such a good film. And Gary Oldman is goofy as hell in that film. I guess I'll always like Gary Oldman, though, because of this and because of The Professional. You know, I've made a couple of videos that are connected to my university courses. What I really wanted to try this semester was, like, one of our tasks is to memorize a passage from the play and to recite it to the professor and then to have a discussion about it. So happened that my life has been a bit crazy in July, like pretty much from July the 1st to July the 16th. Well, because Canada Day, then there's my memories of running with the Bulls in Pamplona always sets me off a bit crazily. I wanted to do a bit of memorization for the professor because I tried it earlier with The Tempest and I just couldn't do it. It's been bothering me, to be honest, because I think my memory is good, And I think that all of our memories could be improved by doing exercises like this, like taking a passage and memorizing it and keeping it up here. It's good work for our very lazy brains. Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead. These two characters appear in Shakespeare's play Hamlet. They're very, very minor characters. They don't have very many lines in Hamlet. And Stoppard wrote this play with Rosencrantz and Guildenstern as the two main characters, as a very intellectual way of saying, well, what about these two throwaway characters from the greatest literature that has ever been written? They don't seem to have any past and they don't seem to have any memory. They keep asking each other, what is the first thing you remember? You say, well, I can't remember. No, but what is the first thing you remember? So after all of the things you've forgotten, what's the first thing you remember? He says, well, no, sorry, it's no good. It's gone, because he's a throwaway character who was only given a couple of lines in his only appearance in the world until Stoppard resurrected him. So Hamlet is in the play, Polonius is in the play, his mother and his uncle, who has usurped the crown, is in the play. But it's Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, these two bumbling clowns, really, trying to figure out their role in this existence. I hope you'll watch the film. Please watch the film. It is like just these two actors at the peak of their ability. Rosencrantz: we have no control, none at all. Whatever became of the moment one first knew about death? There must have been one. A moment in childhood when it first occurred to you that you don't go on forever. It must have been shattering, stamped into one's memory, and yet I can't remember it. It never occurred to me at all. What does one make of that? We must be born with an intuition of mortality. Before we know the words for it, before we know that there are words, out we come, bloodied and squalling, with the knowledge that for all of the compasses in the world, there is only one direction, and time is its only measure. Why that passage is so significant is because, these are characters without history, almost without significance. They come in, they're given the task of taking Hamlet to another location, and they die. And so Stoppard is playing this very modern game of giving them an entire play to work out who they are and what their purpose is what makes it so utterly genius. It's wildly entertaining and funny. Not only are they trying to figure out who they are themselves, they're also discovering these scientific breakthroughs. I think it's Gary Oldman who plays the Rosencrantz character. He's kind of the dumb one, and Tim Roth plays the Guildenstern character, who's a bit brighter and a bit more bitter. Guildenstern is eating a tomato and eating some meat and eating some bread. Rosencrantz makes the breakthrough of putting them all together into a sandwich, and he shows it to his friend. He says, look at this. Nobody has ever created this before. This is the first sandwich in history, and he's quite pleased with himself. Like, oh, wow, look what I've done. I mean, I could eat all of these things with one bite.
What are you going to do now?
I don't know. What do you want to do? Look.
What about it?
Well.
Guildenstern looks at it and is like, well, so what? This sandwich, which has never before been invented or seen, dismissed and lost because he made it too big, and so he said, oh, well, I guess that wasn't a good exercise. And they do this quite a lot.
Guildenstern?
What?
Don't you discriminate at all?
What?
Nothing.
Look at this. Watch closely.
Interesting.
Might have been significant to someone, had our finger on it, but it escaped from us. It shows you that, like, not only did we need to discover things, but we had to make our discoveries known. And if those discoveries are not known, then they're not discoveries. They cease to exist instantly. Please do watch the film. And let me know what you think, because I'm quite sure that Rosencrantz and Guildenstern is a film that will never cease to be entertaining. If you're somebody who loves film, you will love this one. Would I recommend reading it first? Well, of course I would. I think a lot of people are intimidated by reading plays because it looks unusual and maybe you're not accustomed to it, but it's not hard to read. Rosencrantz, right, my honored lord. Guildenstern, my dear fellow, how are you? Afflicted. Really, in what way? Transformed, inside or out? Both. I see. Not much new there. Please read the play. Please watch the film. And also the Browning version by Terence Rattigan. I also recommend that one because the main actor is Albert Finney, who I also really like a lot. Okay, thanks for watching. Grant loves books and plays and even sometimes poetry. Not too often, but occasionally. Thanks for watching.
What's your name?
What's yours?
You first.
Statement. One love.
What's your name when you're at home?
What's yours?
When I'm at home?
Is it different at home?
What home?
Haven't you got one?
Why do you ask?
What are you driving at?
What's your name?
Repetition. Two love. Match point.
Who do you think you are?
Rhetoric. Game